Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys we're going to be doing a really awesome deck profile of my Monarch deck. Yes, the deck where you do not need an extra deck in 2021. This is one of those decks that I've always loved. You know, back when this structure deck initially got released, pretty much there were stories back then of people being able to buy 3 Monarch structure deck and top their locals with nothing else added. Which is ridiculous, and hopefully in the future Konami gives us another structure deck that's really good like that can be competitively viable. That would be awesome and amazing, but for a lot of players out there, I believe. But this deck I've been wanting to do a deck profile update of for quite some time, ever since Pantheism went back to 3 of. And I have just been like chomping at the bit to do it. I just haven't gotten around because there's other deck profiles I wanted to do. So without further ado, guys, let us get to this deck profile. So first we run 3 Ether of the Heavenly Monarchs, as well as 3 Erebus. I will say I'm not going to go into too much detail in this deck profile. I'll talk about different tech options you can try out in your deck. But I'm not going to go into much detail about the card effects because this deck is very well known, I feel like, to a majority of Yu-Gi-Oh players out there, because this deck was so cheap, so popular. Just about everybody had their hands on it and knows how to play it over time. So if you want to look more into the effects, you can look them up. But we run 3 Ether and 3 Erebus of the Monarch. These are kind of some of your main tributes for your deck to go off on. I was grateful when we got Ether back from, back to 3 of, and then I was like, okay, maybe we'll get Pantheism. Maybe we'll get, and then we got Pantheism, and I was like, yes! So yeah, that's what we run for some of your bigger Monarchs. Your Monarchs, remember Monarchs? Remember Frognarchs? Yep, there was a lot of, there was different Monarchs, Frognarchs, Perfect Circle Monarchs. Yep, I used to play those back in the day. That was so fun. Next we run 1 Karaz of the Light Monarch. The one thing you have to keep in mind with Karaz is people run different ratios of Karaz. I think it's just up to player preference. Some people run 1, some people run 2. The reason you're running Karaz, and a lot of people don't get this if they've never played Monarchs before, is you're going to be using Karaz to pop your own cards to draw cards. Yes, you can pop your opponent's cards, but usually you're going to pop your own Monarch cards because maybe you have duplicates, maybe you're trying to get their effect off from grave by destroying this card, that's a continuous trap, etc. Then you'll get to draw cards as well. So 1 Courage, you can run 1 to 2 of it, it's up to you to decide. Next I run 2 Vanity's Fiend and 1 Majesty's Fiend. On builds of Monarchs that are more anti-meta strategy based, where I've seen this before, people will run more of a anti-meta strategy with a lot of, tech options to fight against the meta. People will sometimes run double Majesty's Fiend and double Vanity's Fiend, or triple Vanities, double Majesties. It just depends on the meta, and it also just depends upon what the player's trying to do with the deck. Are they making it more anti-meta, or are they just making it Monarchs and using the Monarch engine? But the reason I like 2 Vanity's Fiend over 2 Majesty's Fiend is Majesty's Fiend, while it is a good card, it is better to stop, I feel like, at the source, the special summon in general, because some monster, decks out there, they don't rely upon their effects as heavily, but every deck pretty much in 2021, for the most part, is affected by special summoning. So what's the best option there? Do you stop the special summoning and stop the effect from going off in the first place? You get what I'm going with that. So I understand people's ratio when they run just 3 Vanity's Fiend and not 1 Majesty's Fiend. However, I do like the option of having both. So I just want to mention that. But I think they're both good in the deck. They're brothers. I mean, I love both of those options. Next we run triple Ida of the Heavenly Squire, which you can bring out through 1 for 1. Don't forget that. That's why 1 for 1 is in the deck. We also run 3 Eidos of the Underworld. These are going to be some of your main tribute options to get your Monarchs onto the field. They do have graveyard effects, don't forget that. Some people forget that doing the duels, I feel like. But these are going to be your main ways. You can bring Edo out from your deck using 1 for 1, which is great. In addition to this, we do 1 Mithra, the Thunder Vassal. We run this as a 1 option in the deck. Some people like running 2 to 3. I find with Pantheism back at 3 of, you just need 1 Mithra. It just gives you additional tribute fodder. It's very nice. It's very easy to get out, onto the field. It's just a nice tech option as a 1 of, I feel like, for your deck. But these are pretty much here for your tribute fodder to go into your different monarchs. So that's where we run them there. Next, we run 3 Pantheism of the Monarch. Thank you, Konami! Great card. I was so happy when we got this back to 3 of. This makes the deck, I feel like, to some extent, a rogue, a rogue competitive deck. This is a deck even now in 2021 because of the way it's anti-meta based in general and how it works and operates with its spells and traps. I honestly feel like you could still top a regionals or locals with it. Like, maybe it's a little bit too slow, but at the same time, I quite wonder, and I don't know. I think you definitely could top locals with your Monarch deck if you wanted to. But 3 Pantheism, this is an amazing card of the deck. It's so happy to have this card back at 3 of. Just such a good card. It was limited to 1 for ages. And I'm happy we have it back at 3 of. Thank you, Konami, for doing that. I've been waiting for that card to come back to 3. 3, Tenacity of the Monarch. Great card as well. Helps you add things from your deck by revealing different cards with the ability. If they have the right attack and defense, which is great. Staple 3 of, in my opinion. Great searcher for the deck. Great card in general, I feel like, for any Monarch deck. This is pretty straightforward stuff, guys, here what we're going through. Your 3, the Monarch Storm Forth. Remember when this was limited to 1, guys? Oh, how Yu-Gi-Oh! Has changed. 3, Monarch Storm Forth. Staple 3 of in the deck, hands down. This card was made for this deck initially, but you still even see nowadays people run this card as a tech option in certain decks out there, even nowadays, depending upon what they're trying to do with the deck. But card's still good, still amazing. You contribute summon on your opponent's turn, your opponent's monster, bring out something. That does happen often. Especially, I will say, there have been a good amount of instances where I'll have a Vanity's Fiend or a Vanity's Ruler, Vanity's Fiend or Majesty's Fiend in my hand, and I'll have Monarch Storm Force set. My opponent will go off with a normal summon a monster or something, and I'll go Monarch Storm Forth, tribute, bring out this monster, and I stop their entire combo for that turn. They can't do anything else because either A, they their deck relies heavily on the normal summon, or B, Majesty's Fiend stops them from special summoning in general, or Majesty's Fiend stops all their effects from going off in their effect-based heavy deck. So, great card when you use those with the Majesty's Fiend bros, which is what I call them. Next we run 3, Domain of the True Monarchs. I'm so happy I hollowed out my Monarch deck all those years ago. Apparently these cards have gone up in price, some of the hollow versions. I don't know. But yeah, 3 Domain, you probably can't tell those are hollows, but I played this deck competitively back in the day too. Didn't play the Brilliant Fusion Monarchs, but I played the regular Monarchs. But 3 Domain of the Monarchs, it's very good card. This is the reason we do not run an extra deck in this deck, because it cuts down the tributes you need. Staple 3 of in any Monarch deck. I have seen some people out there, and I don't know if they're just new to Monarchs or not, but they'll run this as a 2 of. And I don't get it. I just don't get it. 3 of. 3 staple, and that's the reason we don't run an extra deck, because we get all these different effects off because of that. 3 double Return of the Monarchs. Now, this is a card that I used to run at 3 of for a while. That was because Pantheism was at 1 of. Because Pantheism is back now, I don't feel like you need to run this card as a 3 of. I feel like it's just a good staple 2 of, which is the ratio we used to run back in the day, because this card at 3 of bricks hard. So as a 2 of, it's really good now. Not a 3 of anymore because we have Pantheism back, but still a very good card in general. 1, the March of the Monarchs. This will give you protection for your tribute monsters. I'm surprised this has not been made into a super rare at any point in Yu-Gi-Oh's history. Still surprised to this day. But it's a good 1 of because it's a searchable card too, which can help protect your tribute monsters, which is great. We run 1 Foolish Burial. This is to set up things engraved for some of your plays that you're going to do in your deck. Your 1 1-for-1. 1-for-1 is going to help bring your, I believe it's Eidos, out from your deck. The 1 Reinforcement of the Army. You guys may be wondering, whoa, hang on. What are you searching with Reinforcement of the Army? I'm kind of confused here. What are you doing here? Well, the thing you forget is Eden, the Heavenly Squire, is a warrior monster. So you can search it out through reinforcement of the army. People forget that sometimes, but that's why. It works out pretty well in this deck. So these pretty much are going to work with Eden mainly to get them out into the field to set up for tribute fodder, etc. For your trap lineup, guys, pretty straightforward here. We're running 2 the Prime Monarchs. This is going to be additional tribute fodder, setting things up in grave, etc. Good card. 2 the Monarchs Erupt. Great card. This is another like a skill drain on wheels. If you've played True Draco, you know how good this card is. I honestly thought this card was going to get limited for a short amount of time, but luckily Konami did the right thing and hit the True Draco cards. But still, great staple 2F card in the deck. We also run, as our last trap in the deck, I will mention, 1 Escalation of the Monarchs. Escalation of the Monarchs is great. It's kind of like Monarch Storm 4th, but as a trap, because you get to tribute things off on your opponent's turn and go off with their effects, which is pretty cool, pretty neat. But these are your main traps for the deck. Eruption's really good. I've seen people run this as a 3-up because they just love negation, but again, that's in more builds that I feel like are more anti-meta strategy based, not just Monarchs in general. So those are the traps I run in the deck, guys. Like I said, we need no extra deck because this deck is over 9,000. I just threw the meme in there because, jokes aside, you're probably shaking your head right now. But yeah, I hope you guys all enjoy this deck profile. Like I said, this deck is cheap. This deck is fun. This deck is awesome. It's very basic. I feel like, personally, too, if you have this deck and you're trying to teach somebody Yu-Gi-Oh!, because I did this recently with this deck, if you're trying to teach somebody the fundamentals of Yu-Gi-Oh!, this deck is probably one of the best decks that's come out for the last couple of years, besides speed duel type of strategies, to teach somebody the basics of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it'll teach you card economy, card searching, the value of that, tributing. Yes, it's tributing. It's not synchro. It's not exceed. No, you don't need to worry about all that. This is basic Yu-Gi-Oh! 101 to teach you basic, fundamentals of Yu-Gi-Oh! This deck is perfect for that. So if you have this deck and you're trying to, and you want to teach somebody, use this deck because it's going to be really beneficial to them and their ability to learn Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot more quicker, I feel like, in the long run, because they don't have to worry about all those extra deck mechanics. They can just focus on learning the fundamentals of the game. So just wanted to add that all in there because I was talking to a buddy about that recently because I was teaching a couple people about Yu-Gi-Oh! And we pulled out this deck and it worked out pretty well. So hope you guys all enjoyed Monarchs. Like I said, I will also mention I've played this deck for ages. I played Frog Narcs, Perfect Circle Narcs. I remember back when we got the what was it, the Kai structure deck, and how cool that card was and how awesome it was. And then it got the it got an ulti-rare in a tournament pack. I forget which one. That was years ago. I remember somebody had a couple of those years ago. But yeah, guys, till next time, take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling. I'll see you guys next time, and go Monarchs. Take care, guys.